Good afternoon. The winter weather has created issues on roads across the city, with potholes becoming more common than ever.
The city says it's working hard to address the poor road conditions, but some drivers are calling for more action. CTV Sean Leathong has been following this story and joins us live with more details. Sean.
Well, Nathan and Andrea, to give you some perspective, the city has already filled in some 54,000 potholes this year. Sounds like a lot, right? Well, when you look back to last year, the entire season, 250,000 potholes were filled in and around the city of Toronto. So crews have been out for the last couple of weeks because we know when the weather gets warm, the potholes come out. That's just an issue you deal with here in the city of Toronto. They've been working to fill things in, but of course, it's tough to keep up with the pace that the potholes are happening this year. So we've been hearing about some people dealing with the potholes, getting damage to their vehicles, that sort of thing, or just the difficulty of driving in the city right now, because you have to be aware, not only eyes on the road, but eyes down to make sure that you can possibly avoid any potholes that you will see. We spoke to some drivers this morning. Here's what they had to say.
We have harsh winters. We have tough conditions. This winter in particular was pretty tough. So, you know, when the city gets to them, they'll get to them.
I mean, hopefully now that there's no snow on the roads, they start filling them up.
I worry about my tires. Yeah. Because you really, at night, it's much more tricky. So one has to be very observant. So you don't want to be constantly looking down at the road. You have to look ahead. Yeah. So yes, I find I'm more vigilant, and I worry about the tires.
So to give you an idea just how quickly the city is working, we're at Queen and Carlaw right now, and a pothole repair crew actually pulled over to the side of the road, and they're setting up at the intersection of Queen and Carlaw. So you can see crews are around the city. As you may see, they've just put up their lights to notify they're taking up a lane. They will be getting work done there. And looks like they're just moving across the intersection. They'll be getting work done there for the day, but we're expecting crews to be doing the very same thing throughout the day. We're just hoping that the weather can hold off so they can get as many done as possible to keep up, because that's been one of the issues for the city this year, is that the weather has been difficult. There hasn't been as many sunny days like there were a week ago that let them get this job done. So they'll be focusing on that today. Hopefully the weather holds off and they can get it done some more. Reporting live, I'm Sean Leathong. Nathan and Andrea, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you, Sean. So to come, Prime Minister Carney met with his British counterpart today. We'll have more on their discussions a little later in the newscast.
Police have arrested one suspect and are searching for another in connection with a stabbing in North York. Police were called to the area of Keele and Wilson just after 8 p.m. for reports of a fight which started on a TTC bus. Officers found a man in his 30s with stab wounds. He was taken to hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries. Another man in his 30s was arrested at the scene. Police are searching for a second suspect but have not provided a description. They're asking anyone with information to come forward.
2 workers have been rescued after falling into a hole in Milton. Firefighters were called to a waste management site just after 8 in the morning. After receiving reports, the workers had fallen into a hole. Both men have since been rescued. There's been no word on their injuries, and the Ministry of Labour has been notified, and an investigation is underway.
Police are asking for the public's help identifying a suspect in a violent home invasion in Aurora. Investigators have re-released 2 images of the suspect. The incident happened just over a year ago near Murray Drive and Kennedy Street. Police say the suspect forced his way into a home and assaulted 2 people. However, he did not steal anything. Both victims were seriously injured. Police are asking anyone with information to come forward.
A Markham man is facing nearly a dozen charges in connection with a fraud investigation. 50-year-old Nilay Modi is accused of posing as a private investigator and promising victims a return on their investments if they gave him money. Police say he claimed he was using the money to purchase vacant land and showed investors fake documents. Modi's charged with 4 counts each of fraud over $5,000 and possession of the proceeds of crime. He's also charged with 3 counts of forgery. Investigators are concerned there may be more victims.
There are growing calls for the AIDS Memorial in Barbara Hall Park to be redesigned. The memorial is made up of 14 pillars with the plaques listing the names of hundreds of Torontonians who have died as a result of the disease. Advocates say the site has been neglected for years. The city has put forward a proposal to renovate the site, but the Canadian AIDS Society says it fails to make the memorial a distinct sanctuary. The group is endorsing a design which includes a buffer of trees, as well as panels explaining the history of the HIV epidemic. The city says it is exploring elements of the alternate design.
Food Banks Mississauga has kicked off its spring fundraising campaign, and demand for its services remains high. The organization has set a fundraising goal of $800,000. It says twice as many people rely on its programs now compared to the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Food Banks Canada Mississauga says food insecurity is getting worse, with nearly 30% of food bank visitors in the city being employed. That's compared to less than 15% 4 years ago.
The government refuses to take action to address the root causes of poverty and food insecurity. 30% of our food bank visitors are working, and yet a job is not enough to protect people from food insecurity and poverty these days, because there's a $10 an hour gap between minimum wage and what it actually costs a living wage to live here in the GTA. And so as long as minimum wage doesn't cover the actual costs of living, as long as our Ontario Works and our Ontario Disability Support programs don't cover what it actually costs to stay alive, food banks are being forced to fill that gap thanks to the generosity of people like you and me who donate because they don't want their neighbors to go without food.
The spring drive runs until April 30th.
There are early closures on a stretch of Line 1 for subway riders to be aware of this week. Starting tonight, trains will stop running between St. Clair West and King stations at 11:59 p.m. The nightly closures will last through Thursday. The closures are to accommodate track work in the area. The TTC says shuttle buses will operate and staff will be available to assist customers. Regular service is expected to resume each morning around 6 a.m.
And full service is now in place on the Finch West LRT following a months-long soft launch. Riders no longer have to transfer to shuttle buses after 10 p.m. as service has been extended to 1 in the morning. The TTC says trains will arrive every 6.5 minutes during weekday rush hours and every 10 minutes all other times. The move comes as the city is making changes to traffic signals along the route to allow trains to move through intersections before vehicles making left turns. It's part of an effort to speed up travel times along the route. Well, Irish eyes were smiling yesterday as people took part in the 38th annual St. Patrick's Day Parade.
The event featured floats and bands from across the country with people celebrating culture and community spirit. CTV's Raheem Ladani has more.
It wouldn't be St. Patrick's Day without an Irish jig.
I'm a leprechaun.
Some Irish folklore and magical luck to go with it.
I don't know how I grow this mustache. It just naturally came.
Toronto St. Patrick's Day Parade brings out people and pets indulging in everything green, walking east down Bloor and south on Yonge Street.
It's a wonderful day for the Irish and those who wish they were.
The St. Patrick's Day Parade has been a Toronto tradition since 1988 and has grown into a diverse celebration of cultures, strengthening the city's civic spirit.
38,000 Irish immigrants came to Toronto when we only have 20,000 people, right? In 1838. It's incredible. Irish immigrants built this city.
And for many, it's a tradition that has been carried on for generations.
Our grandparents used to walk in the parade every year, so we come every year, and it's our favorite. It's so much fun.
From those pedaling responsibly to others riding in the passenger seat, the parade is a nod to Irish heritage while embracing community.
Yay!
Raheem Ladani, CTV News.
More news in a moment. First, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. We started off with some mild temperatures today, but a cool down is on the way, and we're watching for some snow into tonight. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. And Lindsay, I was walking the dog this morning and I had a smile on my face because I wasn't bundled up as I have been in the last little while.
I know, I felt the same joy, Andrea. Unfortunately, it's not going to last. By the time you're taking the dog for a walk this evening, it is going to be much colder, and hey, it might be snowing depending on what time that's happening at too. We've had some rain showers today. We've got freezing rain and ice pellets north of Georgian Bay, so that's less of a concern for us, but we do expect expect that some of the showers that we're seeing right now, later tonight, any precip will be falling as snow. I want to talk about the winds, very strong again today. We are under a special weather statement. There are wind warnings in Niagara region, and those winds right now are sustained upwards of 30 kilometers per hour, gusting close to 50 here locally, gusting upwards of 70 kilometers per hour in the southwest. Just want to compare temperatures right now. It is +2 in Windsor. That's it. We've just seen the temperature drop in the city of Toronto. We went from 13 degrees minutes ago to about 9 right now, and 15 in Niagara Falls to 8 degrees at this time. So that cold front pushing through as we speak. Here's your today at a glance. That temperature dropping now from 13 will be at about +5 for the early part of the evening. And then we are talking wind chills tonight in the minus double digits. We'll tell you all about the week ahead coming up in your forecast. But for now, Nathan, I'm going to send it over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The Gordie Howe International Bridge hasn't even opened yet, but U.S. border authorities say they apprehended a man who managed to cross over from Canada earlier this month. U.S. Customs and Border Protection says they encountered a 28-year-old man on March 6th who is believed to have made his way across the bridge on foot from the Canadian side. Canadian officials say the man had a criminal history and was returned to Canada. The new crossing, which connects Windsor and Detroit, is scheduled to open this spring.
As the war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran continues, the impact on Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz has sent global oil prices skyrocketing. Now, U.S. President Donald Trump is trying to increase pressure on allies to get them to protect the strait.
We are demanding that these countries come in and protect their own territory because it is their territory. It's a place from which they get their energy. And they should come and they should help us protect it.
Okay, it's hard to hear the president there, but he's saying he's spoken to 7 countries about policing the strait. He has singled out China as a country that should help secure the channel, even suggesting delaying his summit with Chinese President Xi Jinping if China does not act. In a social media post, Trump also named the UK, France, Japan, and South Korea as other nations that could participate. In an interview with the Financial Times, Trump claimed it would be bad for the future of NATO if allies don't help. Speaking today, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer did not rule out providing assistance, but says it would not be a NATO mission.
Let me be clear. That won't be, and it's never been envisaged to be, a NATO mission. That'll have to be an alliance of partners, which is why we're working with partners both in Europe, in the Gulf, and with the US. It's important that we continue that. It is not straightforward.
Meanwhile, Trump claims Iran is desperate to talk amid the ongoing bombardment by the U.S. and Israel.
They want to negotiate. They want to negotiate, man. I don't think they're ready. Just from what I'm hearing, they want to negotiate, and as they should. But I don't think they're ready to do what they have to do.
Trump says Washington is currently in talks with Iran. Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister says his country has not asked for a ceasefire and says he does not see any reason to speak with the Americans. He pointed out the last time the two sides were engaged in talks, the U.S. and Israel attacked Iran.
Prime Minister Mark Carney met with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in London today as he wraps up his latest overseas trip.
The leaders discussed the war in Iran and its potential impact on the war in Ukraine. CTV's Judy Trin has more from London.
The Prime Minister arrived at 10 Downing Street shortly after 8 a.m. to meet with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Carney was accompanied by his wife Diana and Bill Blair, Canada's new High Commissioner to the United Kingdom. The meeting between the two leaders lasted about 25 minutes. 2 wars were on the agenda. The allies are concerned the war on Iran, started by the United States and Israel, will divert support from Ukraine, which has been under attack by Russia for more than 4 years.
Thank you for all your support on Ukraine. It's been invaluable.
And I do want to pick up on this point on Ukraine and really commend you here for your leadership of the Coalition of the Willing. It would not have happened without you. And it's exactly that type of leadership that the world requires now, which is to put together these coalitions that help address real issues. Now, of course, the number of issues is multiplied.
Regarding the war in Iran, U.S. President Donald Trump is calling on NATO allies to help police the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is attacking cargo ships that pass through the critical waterway. 20% of the world's oil supply travels through that strait. Trump says he's asked 7 countries, including Britain, to send naval assets to the region. Trump has said that the U.S. didn't have to help with Ukraine and that it will be very bad for NATO if allies don't help with Hormuz. Carney did not address the latest threat. According to a readout of his meeting with Starmer, the two leaders condemned the Iranian regime's missile and drone attacks on civilian and energy infrastructure and expressed concern about the toll on civilians and rising energy prices. Before leaving Britain, Carney also sat down with King Charles at Buckingham Palace. Carney turns 61 today and will be officially on holidays over the next 6 days in Europe. The Prime Minister's office says he will be in close contact with his staff on critical issues and return to Ottawa on Sunday, March 22nd. Judy Trin, CTV News, London.
And CTV's Rachel Aiello has been following Carney's trip and joins us live with more. Rachel, this meeting with Carney and Starmer, very significant. How significant were these talks?
Yeah, certainly. This was the 3rd time that Prime Minister Mark Carney has visited UK's Prime Minister Keir Starmer since Carney became our Prime Minister just about a year ago. Clearly beyond, of course, as Judy rightly points out, the focus on the situation in Iran and the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, there was a significant focus as well on strengthening the Canada-UK relationship. Considerable discussion about the two countries working more together on issues like trade and security. So that was clearly a focus, and obviously being in the UK is familiar stomping grounds, can we say, for Carney, given his time spent there as the governor of the bank. And so beyond the meeting with Starmer, which officially was kind of the end of his proper itinerary for this trip, the rest of his time is going to be spent in what his office is calling personal commitments, and that is, of course, beginning with this meeting with King Charles, which we understand is getting underway just about around the same time that we're speaking, Nathan. So watching to see what more comes from that, but notable that there's no Canadian media access to that sit-down.
All right. So what about Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, also traveling this week? What is he hoping to achieve?
Yeah, so he is in the United States this week, and today, actually, he is in Houston, Texas. I was just speaking with his office a bit earlier, and they've confirmed to me exactly what is on his itinerary today. Broadly, it was meeting with energy executives and touring an energy facility, but his office confirms that today that facility is the South Bow Houston Tank Terminal, which is a pipeline infrastructure that connects Western crude oil to key markets in the U.S. and the Gulf. So clearly a company that has strong ties already with Canada's natural resources coming from the West. Later in the week, Poilievre is going to continue these energy conversations with folks in Austin, Texas, really pushing, promoting Canadian natural resources and energy, kind of tied into but not directly connected to the trade conversation. And his time in the U.S. is going to wrap up later this week with a keynote speech in New York.
Busy for both leaders. CTV's Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Thank you.
A new poll finds the Prime Minister is enjoying an extended honeymoon with voters nearly a year after being elected. The latest Main Street research study finds 46% of respondents approve of Mark Carney and the Liberals. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives sit at 36% support. The NDP round out the top 3 with just 7% support. The NDP currently in the process of electing a new leader. The federal Liberals could secure a majority government next month, depending on the outcome of 3 by-elections set for April 13th.
New data from Stats Canada shows the country's inflation rate slowed in February, dropping to 1.8% compared to 2.3% in January. Stats Can says the year-over-year decline is largely driven by price increases, which began last February, specifically when the federal tax holiday ended partway through the month. Grocery prices rose by 4.1%, following a 4.8% increase in January. Stats Canada says grocery prices have risen by more than 30% since February of 2021. And as gas prices continue to rise, advocates for electric vehicles are using the situation to promote their products.
CTV's Jean-Pierre Beauchemin has more on those trying to avoid the pain at the pumps.
Those in EVs bypassing the gas station avoid this sticker shock. A litre is now hovering around $1.88 in Montreal.
I've been aware of the price of gas. I haven't been watching it. Because I don't have to.
And how does that feel right now?
Pretty good.
The electrification industry says the latest oil crisis serves as a reminder that volatility is part of the gas game, not so for cheaper power. And Electric Mobility Canada says those looking to buy Canadian should consider what they put in the tank.
More than 70% of the oil sands are owned by foreign companies, and the vast majority of electricity production is owned by Canadian utilities.
But that may not seal the deal for many car buyers. After all, critics say the high price of oil is cascading throughout the economy, where EVs are still a pricey bet.
Even if you drive an electric vehicle, it's going to impact the cost of pretty much everything, including the building of those EVs.
That has some pushing other solutions that have nothing to do with EVs, including government-issued rebates to make up for higher gas prices. This as the latest Statistics Canada numbers show new zero-emission vehicle sales slowed 36% from December 2024 to December 2025. EV advocates, though, say they see early signs of a reversal in that trend.
The future of the auto industry.
A February announcement of a return to federal EV rebates could be giving the industry a boost, say advocates. To Gilbert Book, no pain at the pump is an added benefit.
At one point, I was not sure, is it really worth it or not? But the price of the gas now, I guess, is worth it.
Now, it's not clear just how long this volatility will last and whether indeed it will be part of the decision-making when it comes to EV purchasing. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
Well, it is March break. A special hello to some of the kids who may be at home today, perhaps watching the news at noon. We started off the week very mild, but it's not going to stay that way. Here's a look at the highs we've already reached in many parts of southern Ontario today. Teen temperatures in Toronto, Hamilton, and Niagara, but that temperature plummets tonight. What a difference. And it is a bit of a temperature roller coaster over the next few days. If that's not enough for you, well, we've got some snow moving in for this evening, maybe 2 centimeters locally and higher amounts for communities likely to get some snow squall activity. So we're going to take you through the forecast for the week ahead. Yeah, it is a bit up and down this week, but there are signs of spring. We'll show you when the season officially arrives and what the weather looks like on Friday after the break here on CTV News. Stay with us.
While some families are getting away for March break, others are sticking close to home to check out, sticking close to home to check out a number of events happening in the GTA. That includes the Sugarbush Maple Syrup Festival.
When we're looking at syrup time, we really want those temperatures to be above, just slightly over freezing during the day, and then a bit of a freeze overnight. That really helps the sap to kind of flow. So usually in the morning when we first get out here, things are still pretty frozen up, and then as the sun comes out, it starts to warm up a bit. You'll see that sap starting to flow from the trees. So yeah, we really want those nice fluctuations.
The festival is taking place at Vaughan's Courtright Centre for Conservation and at Bruce's Mill, near where I live in Stouffville. It's happening all week. It features demonstrations and activities and the opportunity to enjoy some real maple syrup. And Lindsay Morrison joins us now.
No, I didn't realize I like maple syrup weather. I like it warm in the day and cool at night.
Well, you know what? You could have used some warmer weather last week when you did that polar dip. I just wanted to say, I've thought about doing it. We've all covered those stories.
Yes.
But I always back out. But Lindsay, I applaud you,
Thank you
for taking the polar plunge.
You could do it, Andrea. I have faith in you. Nathan, too.
I could cover it. I don't know if I could do it.
You can participate.
We'll cover it. Yeah. Congratulations.
One of these days. Thank you so much. And yeah, it was cold and windy that day. Today it's mild and windy, but it's going to become cold. So if you're considering a polar plunge this evening, I suggest having your towels close by because it's going to be quite chilly once again. We've got more snow in the forecast this week. I know that's not what so many people want to hear, but spring does arrive before the week is finished. And hopefully with it, a bit of spring weather. Let's get to your forecast. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm. Injury lawyers, you don't pay unless they win. This morning, yeah, it was a bit of a cloudy start, but the temperature was quite comfortable. A lot of the snow has melted out there from this winter. Felt like that was never going to happen. Snowbanks were huge around the GTA. As we progress through the rest of the day today, you can expect the winds to continue to be just as strong as they are right now, if not stronger in many areas. And any shower activity that we saw earlier, we will say goodbye to that and hello to some some snow. Here's what we're dealing with as far as special weather statements and wind warnings. We're going to start with this part of the weather story. I know it was quite windy at times over the weekend as well. Gusts near 90 kilometers per hour for those of you in this purple warning, and 70 to 90 gusts for us in and around most parts of the GTA in areas farther north. So the winds are going to be quite strong through the rest of the day. Tomorrow we're going to tap into a bit more of a westerly wind. Takes quite some time for those winds to settle down, but by your Tuesday evening, we do expect some improvement there. Here's a look at the showers. It's still raining for some communities east of Georgian Bay, including Muskoka. We've had showers around downtown Toronto and some drizzle as well. As we widen things out, I just wanted to show you the scope of this system. So snow in northern Ontario, freezing rain and ice pellets along the Quebec border, and then some pretty intense thunderstorms extending right across and south to the United States and to the Gulf Coast. Here's a look at what's to come. Another disturbance as we make our way Wednesday and into Thursday. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We also want to talk about snow squall watches that are in place, orange level alerts in some areas too. So locally, 20 to 40 centimeters of snow is going to be possible in some communities near the shoreline of Lake Huron. This is very indicative of where those squalls start to develop, because not everyone is going to see snowfall amounts like that. But here locally in Toronto, we could pick up maybe 2 centimeters of snow tonight, but there's going to be a lot of blowing and drifting happening as well. This all gets going around the dinner hour, so there's 6 p.m. And then watch these communities near Lake Huron and Georgian Bay. That's where the more significant snow is going to be. Tuesday for us is a drier day, still windy, and then Wednesday is still quite cloudy, but at least the temperature is going to start to improve. So let's talk about the temperature story now. It is 9 degrees this hour. Again, not long ago we were at 13. That's not record warmth, but we had to take a look and see if it was going to be close. We needed to make it to 19 degrees. Overnight tonight, what a drop in temperature. -7 for the low, feeling like -19 as we are waking up tomorrow morning, and then rebounding to a daytime high of -3. Here's your 7-day forecast and your March break weather. Tuesday is St. Patrick's Day, don't forget that. And then Thursday, we're eyeing for periods of rain or snow. Once again, spring officially arrives on Friday. That's the weather for now. I'll send it back over to you.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. The Premier is taking questions after an announcement about building jails in Eastern Ontario. He's in Brockville, Ontario now, taking questions. Let's listen in.
Waited on the other side of the border. They have a few stops, but we need a couple more stops here in Ontario. But I said the exact same thing. Follow the 401 corridor. Simple.
I wanted to ask you about harm reduction as well. Harm reduction workers say the closure of the remaining safe consumption sites or supervised consumption sites will result in more people dying, and that the heart hubs aren't a good substitute. How do you justify closing these last few sites?
Well, first of all, that is not factual whatsoever. A study came out for the University of Alberta. Actually, it doesn't cause more problems. It helps people. And Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we did it here in Brockville, they told me there's over 1,200, 1,300 visits so far helping people. The only difference is we aren't encouraging handing out needles and drugs, and there's no community that wants it. We're putting an investment of over $550 million in heart hubs that are going to help people, get them proper shelter, get them the support they need, get them employment if they need. It's working. What I don't believe in sticking these injection sites in the middle of a community, down the street from a school, needles are all over the place. It's like giving an alcoholic a card for the LCBO and saying, okay, go in there and go to town. I'm passionate about this, by the way, and that's why I approved over 500, almost more than $500 million. I don't want to hurt these people. I want to help them. I want them to be productive. Addiction's terrible. It affects families, and you talk to any family member from an addict, and they're going to say, get them help. And that's exactly what we're doing. No government has invested more in supporting people with addiction than what we have. We're going to continue doing this. We're getting rid of funding for injection sites that they encourage people, giving them needles and everything else. And the federal government giving them free drugs, like unheard of. So we're going to support people, and it's working. And please do me a favor, read the article from the University of Alberta. It was in the National Post. What they're saying, it increases. It doesn't actually. If anything, it decreases.
Hi, Premier. Laura Stone, Globe and Mail.
Hi, Laura.
Hey, back to the FOI issue.
Yes.
Why can't Ontario be more transparent than these other places you're mentioning? And you're making this retroactive. So you're trying to. So can you address this complaint that you are trying to block the release of your cell phone records, and why are you trying to hide them?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'll get to my cell phone records. First, why isn't anyone jumping up and down about the federal government, Laura? You live in Ottawa. Go knock on their door and say, why is the province of Ontario duplicating what you have and the rest of the provinces? We aren't just inventing this. We're at the first out of the gate. We're antiquated. We're 40 years old. As for my cell phone, Laura, I would like to ask the people, I'm behind 6,643 messages. People call me 1,000 people a day on very personal issues. There's confidentiality. I was sworn to confidentiality for constituents, and I'm not going to release personal confidential information about people's lives. That's what it comes down to. And there's cabinet confidentiality. If you look at the Supreme Court rulings, it's about protecting cabinet confidentiality with the Ontario Public Service. But I have an idea. Judge me or judge our party on decisions, not on conversations that we have in a cabinet office or conversations that people trust that you are not going to release. Just imagine if I released personal, and it's very personal, a lot of health stuff and everything, every personal problem people have, they call me. I feel like a psychologist every day trying to solve everyone's personal issues. That is not good to release it. Matter of fact, I learned this back at City Hall days, and I'm sure my colleagues know this. When you leave office, you have to, even if the same party gets reelected and they go in there, you have to destroy every bit of information that you have on your constituents. And it's going to start all over again with the new MPP or the new city council. That's the way it works. There has to be confidentiality. People have to be reassured when they text me, it's going to be confidential, and it will be confidential.
Okay, thank you for that. I was
listening to Premier Doug Ford. He's in Brockville. He made an announcement regarding building a new correctional complex in Brockville. At least that's what they're considering. He was just answering questions about freedom of information legislation, and what that would do is create a situation where certain records of the Premier and other government officials would not be released. It has received a lot of criticism from the opposition, but he was explaining why he is justifying this new legislation that they're hoping to introduce. But of course, we're going to continue to follow what happens at the news conference. We'll share it with you at 5 and 6 tonight.
Still to come, avoiding AI brain fry. We'll have more on how workers can avoid becoming burnt out by the new technology when we come back.
The World Cup is coming to Canada.
Right before I close my eyes, they have a dream to fulfill.
Canada, this is the moment we've all been waiting for.
That's what they came for.
An asteroid first discovered in 2024 has been making headlines ever since. At first, it looked like it might be on a collision course with Earth. Then astronomers said that would not happen. Then it looked like it might collide with the moon.
Good grief. Now scientists say that's not going to happen either. For more on all of this, we're joined by Dan Riskin. Dan, tell us about this asteroid, because, I mean, that was a roller coaster ride there.
Yeah.
And for this next study, let's drill down on some energies. And, yeah, so let's first of all talk about this asteroid, because I'm concerned, because I was ready to go into a bunker.
Yes, and a bunker would be appropriate, because it was like city-destroying size.
Ooh.
I mean, it still is, but it's not going to destroy a city, because it's not going to hit the Earth, and all the cities are on the Earth. So it was going to hit the Earth, or it was never going to hit the Earth, but it was a 2% chance it was going to hit the Earth. Okay. So people were like, well, I don't like those odds. Yes. I would like a smaller probability, please. Then astronomers did some calculations and figured out, no, in fact, it's not going to hit the Earth, but it might hit the moon. And so you might think, like, who cares if it hits the moon? There's nobody on the moon. What's the big deal? But if it had hit the moon, it would have left this new crater that would have been 1 to 2 kilometers across. But more importantly, it would have kicked up a ton of debris. It might have been visible from Earth with the naked eye, which would have been really cool to see. But all that debris then, you know, is kicked up into space. A lot of it falls towards the Earth. A lot of shooting stars, but also a lot of broken satellites. And so a lot of people were really worried about this possibility, and the odds were over 3% at one point. But the James Webb Space Telescope has done some nice measuring of its trajectory, and we've figured out, I say we, I'm taking credit for this, they have figured out that it's not going to hit the moon. Either it's going to pass us and the moon, and everybody's going to be okay.
And this is in 2032.
2032, on December 22nd. We knew the date it was going to go by, and it's still going to go by around then, or on that day. So we'll see whether it's close enough that we can get a good look at the one that almost got us. But if you picture the moon, you know, as a circle, it was 6 moons away from the moon. So that's how close it's going to be, is about 6 diameters. I mean, in space, that's like so close. And after it does that pass, you know, gravity's going to change its trajectory, and they'll have to do some more calculating. But hopefully, we've dodged this bullet.
Merry Christmas.
All right, so empty corporate jargon like synergies, et cetera. Apparently, workers who believe that aren't the best workers.
Yeah, so, you know, you've had those meetings where somebody says, we're going to circle around, we're going to have like a blue sky meeting, and we're going to bring together
That never happens here.
We're going to drill down. No, it would never happen here. I mean, other places. Never here. We've all had those meetings where you've got that manager that just will not stop talking like that. And you're like, does that mean anything? New study suggests that when you make nonsensical sentences, like those sentences, those words can mean things, but you can make a sentence with those words that does really mean nothing. And when you show that sentence that means nothing to a bunch of different people, some people think it means something and some people don't. And when people are the types that think it does mean a thing, their performance on a whole bunch of tests of their actual performance at work and some other cognitive tests show that they're not the ones that should be leading things. So if you're having that meeting and your boss is using that language at you and you're a little bit confused, it's not you, it's them. Just you know, if you can't understand the words and they're not being clear, that's on them. It's not that you're missing out.
Okay, so finally, a lot of people are using AI to get more work done, but now there's a lot of talk of perhaps something called AI brain fry. What does that mean?
Well, so I don't know if this term is going to catch on or not. Some researchers have come up with this term, and it's the idea that you bring in these tools that are supposed to make your job easier, but all of a sudden your job is accelerated and you're trying to keep up. And so a lot of people are using these tools to create ways of getting things done at work that they haven't used before, giving them abilities. And what will happen is you'll all of a sudden have the ability to do something you couldn't do before, but then you accidentally make that part of your job description. So for example, like I write a newsletter every week, and with AI, I can change the formatting and make it really fancy-dancy in a way that I never could before because I'm not a graphic designer. But now that I can do that every week, I'm like, well, now I got to write the newsletter and do the formatting and make the graphics all look nice using my AI tools. That is where AI brain fry starts. And this study looked at 1,500 people using AI for all kinds of different things at work. And they found that when people start to take on more and more responsibilities that weren't the original job because they're using AI, that's where they start to get burnt out. But I will say the same study also showed that when you can take something that you have to do at work that's really boring and it is just redundant, and you have to do the same thing over and over, like copying and pasting from a spreadsheet or whatever. If you can use AI tools to take that out of your workflow, it will improve how burnt out you feel. You will feel less burnt out. So there are ways to use AI productively.
In some ways, good to know.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Dan Riskin joining us. I'm thinking about all the work I no longer have to do. Thanks, Dan.
Still to come, big wins for Canada at the 98th Academy Awards. We'll have more on Hollywood's biggest night when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Raptors were looking for a signature win yesterday when they took on the top team in the NBA's Eastern Conference.
Shed back to B.I. launching. Notorious B.I. for three.
B.I. Brandon Ingram scored 34 points in the Raptors' 119-108 win over the Detroit Pistons. Toronto has moved up to 6th place in the NBA's Eastern Conference. The team will be back on the court on Wednesday to play the Chicago Bulls. However, fans are at Scotiabank Arena this afternoon for the Raptors' annual Fan Day.
Today means a lot to me, especially bringing my son here. You know, he really likes Scotty Barnes, and he's been trying to get just a signature from Scotty Barnes. So, you know, last night when he asked me after the game, we came last night to the game, he's like, I want to come back again. I was like, okay, we'll see. And then, you know, it means a lot that I can I'm able to bring him again today. So yeah, once he's happy, I'm happy.
It's going to be an exciting day because, for one, I love the Raptors. For two, on the first day, my first Raptors game ever, they actually won.
I think it's an amazing experience, and hopefully my son would like to see the Raptors. Scotty Barnes, actually. So he's hoping to get his jersey signed.
Scotty Barnes!
That's Scotty Barnes. He's a popular player. The event features a variety of activities, including on-court contests. There will also be a player showcase with Scotty Barnes. The head coach, Darko Radovic, also set to speak with the fans.
The Maple Leafs are adapting to life without their captain, Austin Matthews, taking on the Minnesota Wild yesterday.
Stepped in at the line. Here is Grew. Scores! He's got another. Transition game. And how about this?
Benoit Olivier Grew scored twice for the Leafs, who ended up winning the game 4-2. The team will be back on the ice tomorrow when they host the New York Islanders.
The Sceptres were looking to snap a 2-game losing skid when they faced off against the Seattle Torrent yesterday afternoon.
Turnbull left side. Turnbull shoots. Murphy save, and it's cashed in.
The Sceptres scored less than 5 minutes into the game, which would end up being all the offense they would need. They were able to shut out the Torrent 2-0. The team will be back on the ice tomorrow to take on the Boston Fleet, who currently sit in first place in the PWHL.
We're getting a first look at what team Canada will be wearing when they hit the pitch at the FIFA World Cup this summer. Canada Soccer showed off its home and away kits for the tournament today. The Canadians will wear a two-tone red jersey at home that features a traditional design with the maple leaf in the center. The away uniform is a black kit with a white cracked ice pattern that's meant to reflect Canada's frozen landscapes. Canada will play its first World Cup game June 12th in Toronto. Can't wait. Hollywood's biggest stars were out last night as the 98th Annual Academy Awards were handed out.
One battle after another took home the top awards, but the show also featured a lot of love for Canadians.
And the Oscar for Best Costume Design goes to Frankenstein. Kate Hawley.
Shot in Toronto and premiering at the Toronto International Film Festival, Frankenstein was nominated for 9 Academy Awards. It won costume design, makeup and hairstyling, and production design.
Huge thanks to Miles Dale. We share this with an amazing crew in Toronto and the UK.
Those thanks included Toronto producer and Oscar winner J. Miles Dale.
The Girl Who Cried Pearls.
The makers of the animated short film The Girl Who Cried Pearls gave a shout out to Canada's National Film Board and the place they call home.
We just really want to thank our amazing neighborhood. Thank you, the fantastic city of Montreal. Thank you, Canada. Canada.
K-pop Demon Hunters.
Korean-Canadian filmmaker Maggie Kang's animated feature film had this message.
And for those of you who look like me, I'm so sorry that it took us so long to see us in a movie like this. But it is here, and that means that the next generations don't have to go longing. This is for Korea and for Koreans everywhere.
Sinners, Ryan Coogler.
Going into the night, Sinners, the horror fantasy film, had 60 nominations, the most in Oscar history. Creator-writer Ryan Coogler won Original Screenplay. Its toughest competition came from one battle after another's 13 nominations.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Creator Paul Thomas Anderson finally won an Oscar for adapted screenplay after 14 nominations without a win.
And the Oscar goes to Michael B. Jordan.
And the Oscar goes to Jessie Buckley.
The Oscar goes to One Battle After Another.
Well, Disney's latest animated feature was able to hold on to its crown at the weekend box office.
We created a revolutionary technology that gives us unprecedented access to the animal world. We call it...
Hoppers brought in $28.5 million U.S. across North America in its second weekend. Romantic drama Reminders of Him debuted in second place, grossing $18.3 million in ticket sales. And the Canadian movie, audio-oriented horror movie, Undertone, opened in third place with $9.3 million.
You're watching CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
Okay, I just want to thank Lindsay because Lindsay's in my my text group for the Oscars last night, so we were watching it together, and so appreciate. You're happy with the outcome?
Mostly happy. I appreciate you, Andrea. You were busy working yesterday and still texting us during the Oscars, but it was good fun. Good show.
Good show. Will the weather be a good show?
Arguably not so much, but as we make our way through the night tonight, we're expecting some snow. It begins around the dinner hour. It's going to be windy right through the afternoon. Still seeing some showers in some areas, but that snow is creeping ever closer to southwestern Ontario. So just a heads up on this. The snow is expected to taper off into the overnight, and then we're mainly just dealing with flurries. Look at the temperature drop, though. We are going to plummet to about -7 or -8 for an overnight low. Wind chills in the -teens as we're waking up tomorrow. Bit of an improvement as the day goes on, but yeah, it is a little bit of a messy March break with a temperature roller coaster and some rounds of active weather. Also a little more on Thursday. Nathan and Andrea.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here in front of and behind the camera, thanks for watching. Have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Andrea Case.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.